Here's Rineman in the Morning, on demand from 102.1 and 105.3, The Shark. It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
In television news, it seems the head of NBC was showing a coworker his peacock. Yes, the head of NBC stepped down for having an inappropriate workplace relationship. I heard he asked someone at Meet the Press to press his meat. That's right, there's yet another sex scandal at NBC. Or put another way, they've gone from this to this.
Now on Rineman in the Morning, it's What's Up on the Shark app with Megan, the Shark's own app and website guru.
Megan, what's going on?
What is the most unique Airbnb you've ever stayed in?
My mom's house.
That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's the talk of the town.
Amazing. There's this room that looks like it was made just for me when I was a kid.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's
there's
tailored
pictures of
to your
my
interests.
family all over the place. They really got me, I have to say.
The host must be that's very accommodating and generous of the host, huh?
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. But in all seriousness, so there is...
Let me just say, the Oscar for That's Funny goes to Megan here on Rineman in the Morning. That is the most disingenuous That's Funny I've ever gotten in my life, and
Maybe
I've gotten many
actor.
of them.
Maybe I'm a bad actor.
No, you're a great actress. That's why I know that. Wow, whatever I said, I'm gonna work. It's Monday. Tell me about what about you and what's on the Shark app?
So there is a train car Airbnb that you can stay in up in Lincoln, New Hampshire. It's really cozy and cute, and it's red. It's a little caboose, and it's so cute, and you can stay in it. And so if you are looking for a getaway spot or just a little place to just escape, that could be a unique place to do it. We got pictures for you on the Shark app of what it looks like inside, and it could be just the kind of vibe you're looking for.
Well, let me ask you this question, though. Does the caboose move? Do you fall asleep and then the next day all of a sudden you're in Scranton?
You wake up in a different location?
Yes, Scranton.
No drinks involved for that, huh? You could just...
We're firing on all cylinders here today. See, I made an actual good joke there, but no. What about you? What's the nicest Airbnb you've stayed in?
I've stayed in one Airbnb in my entire life, and it was in Nashville, Tennessee. But honestly, I have nothing but good things to say about it because it was like an older building that was converted into a bunch of Airbnb units.
Oh.
And it was pretty close to downtown, and it wasn't that... I went with two other people, and it wasn't that expensive once everything was split. And so... there was not necessarily anything special or unique about it, but the cost and proximity to downtown for what you were getting is 11 out of 10. So if any of you are planning on going to Nashville, I got a good Airbnb recommendation for you, so hit me up.
And I know you like haunted places, Megan. And you can also
do.
stay at the Conjuring House. That's kind of a Airbnb, right?
You know, that actually segues into something else that we got going on the Shark app.
Yeah, we'll get to that coming up next. But you know what you call the Conjuring House? That's a scare B&B.
That was actually funny.
Thank you.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Umpired my nephew's T-ball game. Had to eject the tee for putting pine tar on the ball.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan's back with something else that segued nicely from our last topic, which was a caboose. And for once, the caboose was not, something to do with lifting things at the gym. Right, Megan?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that working out for you?
I'm still a little sore, not going to lie.
But what do you got for me on the Shark app?
Well, we have been talking about haunted Airbnbs or scare B&Bs.
There you go.
But one of the most haunted places in the world is in New England. I may have mentioned it before, but the thing that I'm really stoked about for it, I might be going this fall. Yeah, my friend and I, she's the same friend that I went to the Conjuring House with last year. We want to go back to the Conjuring House again this year for an evening, this time after dark, after hours. But
if you're working from home, by the way, take a shot every time Megan says Conjuring House. That's what I want. See if you can make it to the Price is Right.
This time you brought it up earlier in the morning,
but it just opens the floodgates. I see your eyes open up like Conjuring House. I know about this.
Well, regardless, we're going to be going to the Conjuring House and then also a place fairly nearby that's considered one of the most haunted places in the world. And it's not, believe it or not, take a shot, the Conjuring House. It's a different place.
Is it famous for anything, or is this
It
kind
is.
of a... Oh.
It is.
Oh, I think I might know what this is.
You probably do.
Does it involve sort of a
murder mystery thing?
Yeah.
I got it.
You know what it is. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. The original OJ trial from back in the day.
Perhaps.
Same outcome, too. Go check it out on the Shark app.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Bed Bath & Beyond filed for bankruptcy. There were a lot of tears, but at least they had plenty of towels. A fire broke out at Disneyland on Saturday. In related news, there is now a warrant out for Lumiere. It is reported that video gamers have been leaking military info. Even crazier, our launch code is up, down, A, B, left, right, start.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Before we go on, Megan, we were just talking off air about like Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It's just the irony that it's like, ooh, spooky. And it's like, no, you just killed a bunch of ladies, basically.
Yeah, some gentlemen as well.
Yes, that's true. And, well, you know, hey, equal representation. What do you think is the more inappropriate thing that we appropriate? Salem, Massachusetts, or the Titanic? Because there's all these Titanic-themed things where it's like a Titanic themed party, Titanic themed cruise. It's like everyone died. Like what? It's just what's worse, Salem or the Titanic?
Is worse because
intentional,
Salem,
right?
Well, because Salem, Mass, it's like you're commercializing events surrounding the tragedy. But I feel like for Titanic, the focus is more on the time period and the boat when it was above water.
So you're reimagining the way things could have happened. And
you're
better.
reimagining the time period. You're reimagining the positive elements, whereas Salem is just like people died. Let's have a witch store in downtown because of that. You know what I mean?
That's true.
It's
like,
different.
The Titanic doesn't have like a, hey, who wants to rent a lifeboat and go out and have some fun?
It's not like here's a chance to go scuba diving in like a miniature version of the Titanic. See what it's like. That would be like, people would still do it. Let's be real. But it's a little different, you know?
Do you want, this is not my joke, but the worst dad joke I've heard about Titanic? Do you think when the people were eating salad, it was a iceberg lettuce? Megan's going to be back.
Yeah.
She's going to be back one more time. We can't recover from that. That was our iceberg. Classic hits for the Seacoast, 102.1, 105.3 The Shark. Be right back with more Rineman in the Morning. How come there weren't sharks in the Titanic? Do you think there were?
There probably were.
That's a good way to go.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Panthers picking fights with Linus Ullmark. Sounds like they got a case of Linus envy.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
We reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app and Megan has questions.
I know you're a big fan of some of the many unsolved mysteries in New Hampshire, but I want to know which one is your favorite because you mentioned several of them in a recent article on the Shark app.
Well, you know my favorite.
Devil Monkey of Danville?
I also like some of the UFO ones because they're just kind of funny. Like there's this guy in Exeter. Oh my God, I'm trying to think of his name. He has like a Fonzie-like name. It's like Muskie Muscarello. That was his name. And when a bunch of his friends came to see me do stand-up at the Music Hall Lounge, they're like, you were talking about the UFOs over there. We know Muskie Muscarello. And they insisted it was true. But you know what's interesting is our friend Chantel wrote an article about Netflix doing a movie about Barney and Betty Hill right here in Portsmouth.
Are they filming in Portsmouth?
I don't know.
I'll be involved in that.
Definitely
Netflix,
go be involved.
hit me up.
Hey, Megan can sing.
Would they need me to sing in an alien movie, though? Unless I was like the voice of an alien.
But Barney, well, let's do it right now. Have some fun. Can we do it?
No.
Oh, come on,
No.
Megan. Get on.
I don't know. I just think of like, woo, like the UFOs. I don't
Okay.
know.
It was this couple in Portsmouth, and they something got them. I don't know if it was aliens or whatever, but then they really got. I'm going to say it, Megan. They got gaslit, Megan. People were gaslighting Barney and Betty Hill for many years.
Oh, the audacity.
And sadly, Barney left us, and Betty had to keep fighting the fight. But yeah, look for that on Netflix. New Hampshire representation.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Some truly shocking news today, as it is believed that as many as 3 cable news anchors still have jobs. Tucker Carlson was fired by Fox News for workplace harassment, but I'm not sure if I believe it since I heard about it on Fox News. Don Lemon was also fired by CNN for toxic workplace behavior, but you know what they say, when life hands you a lemon, fire him.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on?
I had no idea about this, but apparently there's an inflatable water park in Massachusetts, which this summer might be totally worth the road trip. And it got me thinking about, like, One of the things I've always wanted to do and would probably do at an inflatable water park is, when there's like a big inflatable, like, I don't know how I would say it other than cushion or whatever that you sit on, and then someone jumps and they land on the other side and you fly. I really want to do that.
Like in America's Funniest Home Videos, like when they go boom, the kid goes flying.
That's my immediate thought. I'm like, if I were to go there, that's what I would do. And I don't know. It sounds really cool. You have to go on the Shark app to find out what precise Massachusetts town it's in.
And the name of the park.
Of course, but it might be well worth a little vacay to have some fun, like water country.
Wait, how though? How do they have the fun at water country?
I'm not going to...
I don't understand. But you're going out on top. You're going out on top, though, right?
You have to pay for admission.
Are you
to
like
hear
Bruce
me sing.
Springsteen when it comes? Like he won't sing "Hungry Heart" a lot of times because he's like, my theory about that. I don't think it's really Bruce Springsteen on the record.
You don't?
Nope.
Who do you think it is?
I think it's the same guy who sings "Dream On" by Aerosmith, who's not Steven Tyler. That's another conspiracy theory. But no, Bruce won't sing it. He lets the crowd sing it. And he said it's because he can't hit that exact note. He's like, I can never sing it that well ever again. And I feel like that's you in the water country theme. I feel like you sang it so beautifully that one
Thank
time.
you.
And you're just like, nope, that's it. That's my hungry heart. Yeah. So when Rineman in the Morning, we go on tour one day. Yeah, we'll go out and you'll just hold the microphone out and everyone else will sing the water country jingle.
Entertaining the masses.
And speaking of masses, like there's Massachusetts. And they have an inflatable water park.
Exactly.
Bringing it back around. 360 content. There you go, Christine. We love you. It's Classic Hits for the Seacoast, 102.1, 105.3 The Shark. Be right back with more Rineman in the Morning.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Aaron Rodgers traded to the Jets, so I guess he did quit professional football.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what else is going on?
I know we have an insane amount of old buildings in New England, but it turns out we're also home to the oldest restaurant in all of New England.
Now, you just did this a couple weeks ago. You said, I know that all Portsmouth restaurants, they're all old. Now you're saying all the buildings are old too. Are you ageist? Are you architecturally ageist?
Some of the buildings are very old because we're a very old part of the country. We're crusty.
That's true. we're crustaceans, as it were.
Yeah.
But so where is this again? It's some of the oldest buildings. And also the oldest restaurant?
The oldest restaurant in the U.S. is in New England. And
so you were right.
It opened in 1673. That's, believe it or not, older than me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it a Dunkin's?
Honestly. Well, you know what that...
Ye Old Dunkin's?
Ye Old Dunkin'.
How much happier do you think people would have been during those times if they had Dunkin's? If they were able to... If America...
I think it would have changed the course of history. I think
the English would have given up, I think.
If there was a Dunkin' that opened in 1673, I think the Revolutionary War wouldn't have happened. I think Dunkin' would have single-handedly altered the course of American history.
They would have come here, I think. I think the people... the
Brits.
The Brits. The Redcoats, I think, would have said, everyone come over here. They have a donut with a handle you can dump into your coffee.
Here's a thought. Instead of the Boston Tea Party, instead of colonists dumping tea into the harbor, what if they were rebels were dumping Dunkin' coffee beans? That would cause war.
I choose to believe that is what triggered our love for Dunkin's coffee.
Sam
a
Adams
love that endures is that we got rid of all our tea. And we said, what's going to take its place? And then someone said, you look over the hill over there, down in Revere. It's a new Dunkin's. Now, don't ask me why. They already had a town named Revere, even though Paul Revere was still alive. But I think that's probably how it went.
Why not?
But if you'd like to read the article, that's nothing about what we just talked about.
Of course.
But it is about the oldest restaurant opened in 1617?
1673.
Close enough.
Yeah.
It's over on the Shark app. Go check it out. Be right back with more of Rineman in the Morning. Oh, do you like breaking news?
I love the news!
Well, we got some right here for you.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Joe Biden announced he's running for re-election, saying the battle over the nation's soul isn't complete. Is he running for president or Freddy Krueger? Officials in Massachusetts are warning about a college scam which promises a degree that'll help you get work, or as that's also known, college. Singer Ed Sheeran is being sued for allegedly ripping off Marvin Gaye. Said Sheeran, what's going on?
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
What a time, though, right? You have Don Lemon, who's in trouble for disparaging women in the workplace. Then you got Tucker Carlson being toxic. You got that guy from NBC. Oh, hey, speaking of guys in trouble for sex stuff.
Now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Ime Udoka coaching the Rockets. Hey, the guy likes to launch missiles.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
We've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app, and Megan has questions.
A New Hampshire doctor claimed he found a meteorite, but I feel like we've heard claims about strange and unusual or unique things being discovered in New Hampshire. But there's more to the story than meets the eye.
Yeah, he didn't discover it in New Hampshire, which bummed me out. Because I think had he discovered it in New England, or maybe not discovered it, as some people theorize, New Englanders, a bit cynical, skeptical. Generally, you get caught right away. I know what you're going to say, and yes.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm making eye contact right now.
I am the mascot. No, he was somewhere else. You got to read the article on the Shark app and return saying, look, behold, I found this meteorite, and I broke a piece off, and everyone believed it. And then the investigation began. I guess you just forgot that, we're going to inspect, they inspected meteorite pieces when you find it to, find out more. And then the lab results came back a little fuzzy. Then you read it, and you're like, oh, but he was, deceased by the time this had happened. So they were not able to bring him to meteorite court. Is that a show yet on Peacock?
Meteorite court. If it's not, it will be. It will
Silence.
be.
I'll have none of this. Guy just has a big rock he's banging on his desk. But it was a fun story, and that as you read it, it's just my kind of story. And then this happened. It's just like, okay, that's pretty bad. Well, actually.
Wow.
And then there's all this effort that went into it, and it's this in this one state where it's like their big deal. It's like their old man on the mountain. And then they're like, has anyone ever actually seen the meteorite? And everyone's just like, I thought you saw it. Maybe a guy made up a meteorite. But I like to believe that there's that Harry and the Hendersons reveal where you pull back the branch, and there it is at the end, and it's glowing, and everyone's happy. And then it hatches, and out comes the devil monkey of Danville.
Not the
Megan.
one in the rafters at TD Garden?
No, the other one.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Bernie Sanders endorsed Joe Biden for president, or as Bernie put it, let's give the kid a chance. A record number of Americans are suffering from allergies this year, so keep that in your back pocket when you forget about flowers on Mother's Day. A new strain of COVID is said to affect people's eyes, so be on the lookout for people with sneezing eyes.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on?
A New Hampshire house-turned-restaurant was actually used in the illustrations for Little Red Riding Hood.
No.
Yeah, so the inspiration for Grandmother's house is a restaurant in New Hampshire.
Is it really?
It is, and I didn't know that. And now that I know that, I really want to go because it seems like such a cozy, sweet place.
So wait a minute. So it used to just be a house, and then they converted it into a restaurant.
It's now a restaurant, so you can dine at Grandmother's house.
And where? And what state again?
It's in New Hampshire.
Oh. So if you go to the Shark app, you find out what town.
Yeah.
So you're telling me, the legendary song "Over the River and Through the Woods" to Grandmother's house, that actually exists? You can go eat there.
Yeah.
What kind of food? Can you tell me that much? Is it American fare?
Got to go on the Shark
come on.
app. I know,
you can't
I'm annoying.
just tell me what kind of food they have there.
But here's what I want to know. What I want to know from you. What is your, speaking of Little Red Riding Hood, when you were a kid, what was your favorite or one of your favorite storybooks or?
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you my favorite story related to fairy tales. So up at Storyland, as a matter of fact, right here in New Hampshire, an ex-lover of mine, we shall say, we went to Storyland once, she and I, and so she saw the shoe from the old woman that had a shoe. With so many kids, she didn't know what to do. And she went, oh my gosh, a shoe? And she went running in and then came running right back out terrified. And it was because she had no idea there was an old woman in the shoe waiting to say hi to you. So she runs in, does like a Kramer spin, runs away, and then the old woman comes out. She goes, is she okay?
Trying to stay in character.
And I go, nothing's okay because I didn't get that on film.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Say what you will about last night's Celtics game, but not in front of your kids.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Hey, Megan, what else is going on?
We now know the most popular baby names in New Hampshire for
and
2023.
They are Megan and Rineman. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so honored.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
Me too. I'm going to go up and slap Chris Rock. That's how you celebrate, right?
I'm going to advise you to maybe not slap Chris Rock.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that does. Well, what are the real baby names that people know?
Well, I can tell you the top boy name and the top girl name. They're very similar. Boy's name is Oliver. Girl's name is Olivia.
Are you serious?
I'm being dead serious.
Oh my gosh!
But now I'm trying to think. Like I've met a few Olivias in my life. I'm not close with anybody named Olivia.
You got Olivia Benson there on Law and Order SVU, huh?
That is true.
Mariska Hargitay, my old pal from Madison Square Garden. I'd go to Celtics Knicks games.
Of course,
big basketball fan.
I've met one Oliver in my entire life. I think.
Ugh. Oliver is a divisive name in the Rineman household right now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Story time? Question mark?
No.
Okay.
No, because some of the dads listen to the show.
Okay.
Hi, Dominic's dad. Hi, Jackson's dad. But yes, that's a divisive name. But everyone will get together at some point and get along. Unusual.
Olivia,
yeah. I almost named Sadie. That was a name that was up there. Was Olivia. Liv. It's a cool name. Liv Tyler, Steven Tyler's daughter. Great actress.
I do really like that. I forget.
Or Olive. That was another name we threw around.
That's a pretty name.
That was close. That was very close.
My mom told me that had I been a boy, she was considering naming me Ryan.
Really?
Yeah. Kind of close to Rineman.
You're giving me the freak out here.
A little bit.
It's like a Stephen King book where all the people have weirdly same names. But if you want to find out the other popular names for babies here in New Hampshire, right? Go to the Shark app. It's classic hits for the Seacoast. 102.1, 105.3 The Shark. Be right back with more Rineman in the morning.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Well, I was feeling a little bit down today, so to boost my self-esteem, I drew a blue check mark next to my name in the phone book. Yesterday was World Penguin Day. Don't worry if you forgot. It takes them about a month to march to their party. Harry Potter star Daniel Radcliffe just welcomed his first child, so I guess his wand still works.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the morning.
It's time for your Shark Seacoast forecast brought to you by P. Gagnon and Son. Good morning, Mark Rosenthal.
Good morning, Mr. Rineman. How are you today?
Today, Mark, we were talking about weird recurring dreams we've had like all our life since we were kids. Is any recurring dreams you've had ever since you were a kid?
I've had a recurring dream that I've been in a tornado.
Really? Tornado? That's
a tornado that I wake up and that there's a tornado coming and I have to forecast the tornado and then I see it and I can't get out of the way of it. I have a lot of weird weather dreams. I really need to be in a deep weather analysis.
It's like you're thinking, you're out there reporting it. You're like, the weather's going to get me back someday. I know it.
Oh, I think it already probably has. I'm living it.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Jaylen Brown wears a mask on his face. The other guy should wear a paper bag on their head.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Talking strange dreams today. I brought in Drew Scammon. Drew, you're the wonderful tech who gets everything working here in the studio.
Sometimes.
Well, yeah, and thank you so much. We've done some work this week. And so I want to ask you, do you ever have any strange recurring dreams, like a dream you've had since childhood that makes no sense to you at all?
Yeah, I do, actually. I have one from, seems like the 1600s where I'm actually fighting in a war and I get an arrow and fall off the side of the castle.
Oh, my gosh, really?
Yeah, I get that a lot.
You might have been reincarnated.
I could have been, but, who knows?
Yeah, and then you were also the one that made the acoustics so wonderful in that castle. They were like, Drew fell, that arrow struck him, but he made such beautiful noise. It was all the work he did.
Kaboom.
There's an article on the Shark app now about the most common dreams New Englanders have in each state. And I brought in my friend here, Mike Curtin, and Mike works in sales. How's it going, Mike?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. You don't have to call me sir, Mike. I should be calling you Mr. Curtin. You're a generation ahead of me, shall we say.
Okay, John, go.
Well, Mr. Rineman, what's your most? Do you have any recurring dreams that you've ever had?
Probably dreams from childhood.
Yeah.
Fears of traveling, fears of bridges. Bridges. Still have a fear of bridges and flying.
Real, yeah, flying and bridges. Those are two common dreams. Me too. I have dreams about bridges that are like collapsing for some reason. Do you ever have that dream that like
not collapsing, but just getting stuck on a bridge and being stuck in a traffic jam when I was a child? My parents used to put me in the front seat of the car on the bottom of the front floor as we went over bridges. So that's why I have a fear of bridges.
Why did they put you on the floor of the car while you went over a bridge, Mike?
I never really got a full explanation of how that happened.
This might have been a bad idea. Megan?
Now on Rineman in the Morning, it's What's Up on the Shark app with Megan, the Shark's own app and website guru.
Megan, we've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app and you have some questions.
I have one question for you. Can you solve a Rubik's Cube?
Nope. Never. I've never solved one Rubik's Cube ever in my life. Not once.
How did you feel when talking about how a teen in New Hampshire solved a Rubik's Cube blindfolded?
I felt sort of like, first of all, I didn't believe it. I was like, nah, that's a gimmick. Because and I know like in slam dunk contests and basketball, in wrestling matches, they have a fake blindfold. And I was like, nah, this can't be real. But then he breaks down, he has a system, sort of like gamblers do, like where they memorize, when they count cards and stuff. He has a thing where he can look at the Rubik's Cube and take a mental picture, which some people do. They have a photographic memory.
Insane.
And he's able to just memorize. That's a gift that a lot of people do have. There's some people, you should ask around, you should ask your friends. Some people are amazingly good at Rubik's Cubes, and it really is impressive to see it happen firsthand. But yeah, this kid's unbelievable. Check him out on the Shark app.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
2 airline flights in Houston were struck by birds yesterday. Or as the flight attendants put it, who wants chicken? Yes, United experienced multiple bird strikes, said Southwest. That's why we keep our planes on the ground. That's right, 2 flocks of birds collided with United planes. Meanwhile, a penguin traveled from Maine to California faster than JetBlue.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on?
So we officially have information about the what, where, when of Portsmouth's Market Square Day this year. It'll be happening.
Let me guess. It is going to be in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Market Square.
Actually,
during
no,
the daytime.
It's going to be in Seabrook.
What?
I'm kidding.
And not our Seabrook, the town
messing.
Seabrook from Zombie Kids on Disney Plus.
Of course.
Yes.
But no, it is indeed going to be in Portsmouth's Market Square on Saturday, June 10th. And we have some scoop on artists who are going to be performing and all kinds of fun stuff.
Are you going to be there singing all your local jingles?
If someone wants to hire me to sing, sure.
Dude, that would be fantastic. Meg sings the jingles.
Yeah, I'll sing.
Christmas
I'll
tree
sing
shops,
any jingle.
Water Country.
If I know it, I'm not going to sing it here.
The Golden
because
Garden. This was before your time. The Golden Garden in Northampton. Wonderful Chinese restaurant. Oh, they had this Chinese cuisine at the very best. Golden Garden. It was tremendous Chinese food, and anyone listening right now will have that stuck in their head the rest of the day.
Okay, well, but I feel like I went to one Market Square Day maybe 10 years ago and just haven't been since. So maybe this is my calling. Maybe it's my year.
Can you give me any hints on who's going to be there, artist-wise?
You got to go on the Shark app to find out.
Oh, you've bested me yet again.
Always. But I'm a very predictable person. I find that I frequently recommend that people go to the Shark app.
Yeah, that is strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's very unusual. Different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, go to the Shark app. Great break, Megan.
Of course.
Classic hits for the Seacoast, 102.1, 105.3 The Shark. Be right back with more Rineman in the Morning. It's captivating. Almost as, quote, captivating as the last 2 Celtics and Bruins playoff games. Let's get an update.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Does anyone at TD Garden know the Heimlich maneuver?
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Hey, Megan, what's...
Try again.
Megan, what else is going on? We're doing well today, aren't we?
You good?
TGIT.
You good over there?
Yeah, I'm all right. What's happening on the Shark app?
TGIT is right. So, New Hampshire has over 3,000 restaurants, which is insane. but there are a lot that are under the radar that a lot of people might not necessarily think.
Are we talking
of.
like speakeasies here? Are these illegal restaurants? What's going on?
We're
What's
talking
the problem?
legal restaurants that are simply under the radar that you might not have heard of, but they have a good reputation amongst the locals who frequent them. So one of our coworkers compiled a list of what some of these places are. And I want to know from you if you could add one. If you could add one.
I got one for you.
Which one?
Logan's Run, which is right next to Captain's Cove on Route 1 in Hampton. You go play some golf, and then you go get the best Reuben there is. Logan's Run. Yeah, and it's like really cool. Sadie and I go there in the summertime.
That's awesome.
Usually on Friday afternoons. It's like our thing. And it's fun, too. It's like regulars. You go in there to see all the same friends. It's like going to like the dining hall or commissary at work. So, yeah.
The dining hall.
In a good way. You see all your friends. You go, hey, what's going on? You know,
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Logan's Run. What about you? What's your
Mine
go-to?
would probably be Hebert's in Portsmouth. My family, whenever we get together, sometimes lately we've been ordering takeout from Hebert's.
Yeah.
And it's good food, reasonable prices.
Yeah.
Good service, all that jazz. My dad especially is a big fan of it. He literally got me a Hebert's mug once. I forget if it was for my birthday or Christmas, but it was part of a gift.
There you go.
So there you go. I'm speaking sort of on behalf of my fam.
Check it out on the Shark app. In the meantime, guess who's in trouble? Again.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
World Wrestling Entertainment was sued by a former writer for workplace toxicity. I don't believe it. Those guys have writers? Yes, writers for WWE were accused of sexism, racism, and harassment. If they're not careful, they'll get their own show on cable news. That's right, Vince McMahon was charged with racism. Said McMahon, now how can I be racist when I'm friends with The Rock and Dwayne Johnson?
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
I asked you, what do you do when you need good luck, when you're in it to win it? Patrick in Newmarket.
You know, I do what I'm doing now. I grab myself a nice cigar, listen to some music, try and get myself ready for the day, whatever's coming ahead.
I like it. You have your victory cigar in advance.
Yeah, I try and get myself in a victory mood already. Hey, you want to hit Break My Stride if you can?
You got it, buddy.
I'm sure you think of me every time you play that song.
I do. I dedicate it to you every single time.
Now on Rineman in the Morning, it's What's Up on the Shark app with Megan, the Shark's own app and website guru.
We've reached that point where I wrote something for the Shark app and Megan has questions.
You shared a warning about a fake New England college seeking applicants?
Yeah.
Please?
I can't believe this isn't a bigger story.
Please elaborate.
Everyone needs to go on the Shark app and it links to the website. You got to be careful because I know a lot of people are going to school online right now, and there's a college that looks creepily real and it is totally fake. And I will tell you who's issued. It's not just the Department of Education. The FBI is involved in this, and they're trying to figure out who this is. And they're scamming people.
So are they trying to figure this out while they're also trying to figure out how to repay that Delta pilot whose room they burst into in Boston?
Yeah. That's what I said. But yeah, it's a really...
They're having all kinds of trouble lately.
Yeah, you got to go check it out in the Shark app. It's a really realistic looking place. But you know what I did, just to help everybody? I put together a list of 8 great signs that your college is fake. That the place you may have signed up to go to school is not real. Do you want to hear a few of them?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, the team nickname is the Loving Irish. It's not realistic. It offers internships at Ames, Bradley's, and Filene's. That's not good. Yeah. They give course credit for AP Ernie Bach history. You can major in Ben and minor in Jerry. I like that one. They brag about making it to the Final Four in Keno. Oh, my grandma did that. Everyone who gets straight A's gets free furniture from Jordan's. That's pretty good. It offers courses at Steven Tyler School of Scarf Design. You went there for a couple of years, right?
I got my associates from there.
I remember that. And then the first sign that you're going to a fake college here in New England, they say that America runs on Starbucks. That's just not true at all.
I love my donkeys.
You love your donkeys. It's Classic Hits for the Seacoast, 102.1, 105.3 The Shark. Be right back with more Rineman in the Morning. Who doesn't love their donkeys? What's up, Chrissy? See you later.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
Yesterday was Take Your Child to Work Day at the White House. Or as Biden told his son Hunter, no it's not. I have meetings all day. Don't come. Stay home. 2 baseball reporters got into a heated fight over an interview with Yankees star Aaron Judge. That's crazy. People still read about baseball? Some sad news as talk show host Jerry Springer died yesterday at the age of 79. He is survived by family who just learned that their parents are brother and sister.
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
I'm Stephen Page, and if I had a million Rinemans, they'd all be in the morning.
This is very exciting. My next guest is a co-founder of Barenaked Ladies. He brings the Stephen Page Trio to the City Winery in Boston this coming Tuesday night. Welcome to Rineman in the Morning, Stephen Page. Mr. Page, how's it going, sir?
It's going great. How are you, John?
I'm doing great, and I'm happy you're here during this time of year because I know you're a big foodie. What are some of your favorite restaurants to visit when you're up here in New England?
Where you are there in New Hampshire, some of the best fried seafood anyone will ever have anywhere. You know, if we're driving anywhere along the coast, we always have to make a little detour to get an entire platter of amazing fried seafood.
Well, I got to give you a recommendation. There's a place called the Beach Plum. It's in Northampton, New Hampshire. But I also remember you guys singing. You did an ad-lib at a show once, a place in Manchester, the Red Arrow Diner. They had some wieners and beans that you guys were very fond of. So
that's right. I think for us, that was always just the fact that you go anywhere. That's, you know, a food that you would only imagine having in your house.
Yep.
And it's like when mom is exasperated and that's all there is wieners and beans. And it's fun. As a kid, you're like, that's a great food, but it's just, you never expect to see it in a restaurant. I remember one time with Barenaked Ladies, we were rehearsing. We had a rehearsal space in Toronto. And we decided we wanted wieners and beans for lunch. We got like a giant steam tray, like a giant tray, sheet pan thing full of wieners and beans. And I maybe I've never laughed that hard in my life and that long. So it's still, the idea of wieners and beans brings me such great joy. The guitar solo in the middle of 1 week, every time when I was in the band, I would go up to Kevin Hearn as he's playing the guitar solo, and I'd sing, "Oh, baby, I love you like wieners and beans."
And we're coming up on a big anniversary, Steve. 25 years ago, Barenaked Ladies released Stunt, and you gave a massive historic release concert in downtown Boston. Is it true you originally planned to just sign like a few CDs at like a comic store or something?
Yeah, so it was supposed to be. It was run by Newbury Comics, and that was, you know, in those days, in-store performances and signings were kind of de rigueur when you released a record. You'd go and set up as in release week, you'd go to different record shops around the country and you'd play a few songs, and then you'd sit behind a table and sign autographs. And, you know, a good one would have several hundred people would come and line up, and it could be, you could be signing for an hour or something afterwards. And that's what initially it was supposed to be. But we realized, we had become fairly big in the Boston area, and we thought, well, I guess it was proposed to us, why don't you do it outdoors? It'll still be sponsored by Newbury Comics, but we'll do it outdoors at City Hall Plaza. But we hadn't understood what the scope of that was going to be. Like we did, I guess it was the day the album came out, and we did, I think, the Today Show in New York City in the morning, and then got on the tour bus and drove up to Boston. And as we drove up, the traffic was, insane, as it often is, but it was like we just couldn't even get there. And we're saying, what is holding up the traffic here? And they said, you are. And when we got there, there were like, I don't know, 65,000 people or something.
You're playing the City Winery in Boston on Tuesday evening, and what can fans expect to hear when they go?
Well, it's Stephen Page Trio, so it's myself and Craig Northey from the band The Odds on guitar and Kevin Fox on cello. And we will do a survey, a full career survey. So I always think of these shows as like catching up with old friends. So we do some of the new stuff to show you where I'm at, and it still has kind of that. There's lots of goofing around and occasionally made up songs on stage and all that kind of nonsense, and we kind of go through the whole solo catalog, as well as I would say the show's probably about half old BNL songs, hits, and deep cuts.
Stephen Page plays the City Winery in Boston on Tuesday, May 2nd. For all things Stephen Page, go to stephenpage.com. And as always, we kept on talking a little bit off air. Look for the full interview with Stephen Page coming soon to the Shark app.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
Celtics beat the Hawks in the playoffs, which is kind of like when I beat my pet turtle at chess.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
Megan, what's going on this fine Friday?
On this fine Friday, Kimball Farm in Massachusetts is now open, and I had never heard of it Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it. So I'm going to go to the Shark app. Not lying.
Well,
I really don't know much about it. I'm going to read.
Well, it looks really cool, and they have everything from mini golf to bumper cars and boats to zip line, seafood and grill. They got a little bit of everything.
What? This is a farm? These animals sound crazy.
But I think you should take Sadie sometime. That could be a fun summer activity for the two of you.
You're just like her booking agent. You're her travel agent.
I am.
Is she like messaging you now and being like, hey, tell him about this thing? You're draining my account here. But what
that sounds like a you problem.
It kind of is. I got to stay away from the sales pit. Inside office joke, but there's just too much gambling going on.
It's pretty crazy.
But it's legal, and so's Kimball Farm. And you can read all about it on the Shark app.
It's time for your news on the nines with News Guy.
A priest says he saw a possessed nun climb a wall like a squirrel. Then he said, never mind, it's just a skunk. An R-rated show about the Winnie the Pooh character Christopher Robin is in development. Meanwhile, the show about a half-naked bear and a donkey with a nail in its will still be rated G. Astronomers say that life in a distant galaxy could be picking up our radio frequencies. Hey, you think any of the aliens are single? Nice tentacles, baby. What's a fella have to do to get a probe?
And that's your news on the nines. Now back to Rineman in the Morning.
Hey, Megan, what's...
Try again.
Megan, what else is going on? We're doing well today, aren't we?
You good?
TGIT.
You good over there?
Yeah, I'm all right. What's happening on the Shark app?
TGIT is right. Mm-hmm. So, New Hampshire has over 3,000 restaurants, which is insane. But there are a lot that are under the radar that a lot of people might not necessarily think
Are we talking like speakeasies here? Are these illegal restaurants? What's going on?
We're
What's the problem?
talking legal restaurants that are simply under the radar that you might not have heard of, but they have a good reputation amongst the locals who frequent them. So one of our coworkers compiled a list of what some of these places are. And I want to know from you if you could add one. If you could add one.
I got one for you.
Which one?
Logan's Run, which is right next to Captain's Cove on Route 1 in Hampton. You go play some golf, and then you go get the best Reuben there is. Logan's Run. Yeah, and it's like really cool. Sadie and I go there in the summertime.
That's awesome.
Usually on Friday afternoons. It's like our thing. And it's fun too. It's like regulars. You go in there to see all the same friends. It's like going to like the dining hall or commissary at work. So yeah,
the dining hall.
In a good way. You see all your friends. You go, hey, what's going on? You know,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So Logan's Run. What about you? What's your go-to?
Mine would probably be Hebert's in Portsmouth. My family, whenever we get together, sometimes lately we've been ordering takeout from Hebert's.
Yeah,
and it's good food, reasonable prices.
Yeah,
good service, all that jazz. My dad especially is a big fan of it. He literally got me a Hebert's mug once. I forget if it was for my birthday or Christmas, but it was part of a gift.
There you go.
So there you go. I'm speaking sort of on behalf of my fam.
Check it out on the Shark app. Under the radar, New Hampshire restaurants. Boston Celtics, they're moving on. And this is really interesting. Did you see this? Because the series went longer. Everyone thought the Celtics were going to sweep this thing. And so down in Atlanta, they didn't even believe in the Hawks. They scheduled a Janet Jackson concert for last evening in Atlanta. But then the Hawks kept on winning. And then they said, hey, Janet, sorry, we got to play basketball here. Can you move out? Can you do it tomorrow night? Well, anyway, Jason Tatum, very busy guy. If you go to the Shark app, you can read all about his candy company and all these other things he's got going on. Busy guy, but he's always very mindful. He was interviewed after the game last night, and listen to what Jason had to say.
All right, so now you're officially moving on. You're facing the Philadelphia 76ers. What are you looking forward to out of that series?
It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I want to enjoy this one right now. I want to send an apology to the legend Janet Jackson. We were supposed to close it out in Boston. She had to postpone her show. I hope she see this. I apologize for that, but we got it done today.
Good for you, Jason. Man, that's great. Tatum apologizing to Janet Jackson. So anytime you're ready, Justin Timberlake. Bruins in action tonight. Let's hope they win, and let's get an update.
And now, here's Sports in 10 Seconds with the Sportsman.
The hockey team is the Florida Panthers. The Golden Girls were the Florida Cougars.
That's your Sports in 10 Seconds with Sportsman on Rineman in the Morning.
We're at that point where I wrote something for the Shark app, and Megan has questions.
The other day there was an earthquake?
Couple earthquakes.
In 4 New Hampshire towns? This is obviously nowhere near me
hold on a
because
second.
I didn't feel anything.
It was just one. It wasn't like each town had its own individual earthquake. It was just one earthquake that hit the different towns.
I figured.
We've been having a lot of earthquakes the last couple of years, actually. They're like showing up on the Richter scale and everything. And then our friend Dan, the great Dan Alexander, who writes for Seacoast Current, wonderful news source, has been tracking them, and there's been these weird booms. And I'm not making this up. I made a rule for myself earlier this week. I was listening back to some of our playback, Megan, and I made a rule about a certain thing I was not going to mention anymore. I said, this is getting old. I'm on board with everyone else. This isn't funny anymore. But do you know what town the booms are coming from that Dan has reported on?
Do I?
Do you think you do?
I know you're going to say.
I'll give you a hint. They
Danville,
have
Yes! You sure? Are you sure
Danville,
that these
home of the devil monkey. I'm not making this up.
I have a theory. I think these earthquakes are actually fits of rage from our coworker Shawnee O, who's grieving over the Bruins loss still.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Could be.
I think it's him. He's been in a period of mourning for a while
He's
now.
been slamming on stuff. Have you seen him walking around like beating things up in the office? It's awful. But it's funny because if you want to go to check out the earthquake that's on the Shark app, when I think about the devil monkey of Danville, and when I think about people banging things with their elbow, I think of one person, and his name is Fonzie, and he says,
Hey, I'm Charlie Butters, and it's time for your Friday Flix. Out this weekend is Big George Foreman, about a man who went from being boxing's heavyweight champion of the world to the face of a grill you buy at a garage sale. Out on Disney Plus is Peter Pan and Wendy, which delves deeper into Peter Pan's rivalry with one of Disney's most memorable villains, Governor Ron DeSantis. Available on demand is My Happy Ending. It's a touching film starring Andy McDowell and not a film about touching starring Robert Kraft. I'm Charlie Butters, and remember to keep an eye on the screen and a hand in the popcorn.